Hey everyone, it's Peter here with a small change to our regular programming. We have reached the mid-1970s in our exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters to the Silver and Bronze Age of comics. And it's an incredibly exciting time at DC. Jerry Conway has moved over from Marvel, and with him, he's brought all the soap opera, all the pathos, all the drama, and a whole new line of exciting new titles. We've already covered the relaunch of Black Hawk. We've also started our coverage of the new All-Star comics, but that's not all. There's tons more to come. We're coming up for the start of the DC Marvel crossovers, Secret Society of Supervillains, and of course, the Freedom Fighters in their own title. Now, David and I agreed that we really needed a little bit more time to prepare, research, record, and edit the future episodes. So we thought we'd put together one of our patented omnibus episodes, similar to what we did at the start of last year when I came down with laryngitis. So in the spirit of that, and to prepare you for the imminent return of the Freedom Fighters in their own title, we'd like to represent an omnibus episode of Crisis on Earth X, featuring an all-star cast of friends, family and fellow podcasters. Hope you enjoy.
Transmitter device activated. Coordinates set for Earth 2.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Earth 2 podcast, your weekly exploration of the DC Comics multiverse and the legacy of their Golden Age characters through the Silver and the Bronze Ages of comics. I'm Peter Watson.
I'm Steve Higgins.
I'm Gavin Reitzer.
This is Rich Fuller.
I'm Chuck Loredens.
This is Max Traver.
I'm Christine Panton.
I'm Tony Esmond.
I'm Dan Butcher.
I'm Kenny Smith.
I'm Ross Aiken.
I'm Brandon Peters.
I'm Kaylee Blair.
I'm the Irredeemable Shag.
And I'm shoving everyone out of the way to get to the microphone to say that I'm David Steele. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. It's 1973. It's the JLA-JC team-up stroke crossover.
Yay!
We begin today with issue 107 of Justice League of America, published on the 5th of June, 1973, approximately 2 weeks before my mum and Paul McCartney's 31st birthday. Yes, so hopefully listeners, you've enjoyed our build-up to this episode with our 3 episodes introducing the characters who will become the Freedom Fighters. Before we start, I'd like to suggest a drinking game where you take a drink every time someone says the phrase Freedom Fighters. So we'll see how we got on with that, eh? Okay. Right, so JLA 107. Peter's going to tell you about the cover.
We have the Justice League of America shield at the top. We have the DC logo top left. The 20 cents, number 107, October, it says, approved by the Comics Code Authority. But the main image on the cover, there is the Earth being held by some of the characters you may remember from the last few episodes. There's the Human Bomb, the Phantom Lady, Doll Man, Uncle Sam, the Ray, and Black Condor. And emanating in a cloud of smoke from this Earth are the assembled members of the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America. Superman front and centre. Behind him, we have Batman with his cape up. We have Green Lantern Hal Jordan, Black Canary's there. Ralph Dibny stretching in at the back. Dr. Fate's there. The Barry Allen Flash. And Wesley Dodds the Sandman. And Superman is saying to the assembled Quality Comics heroes,
Uncle Sam, why have you summoned us to your Earth?
And Uncle Sam replies,
to help us overcome the Nazis who won World War II.
Gasp. And at the very bottom of the cover, there's a big caption that says, featuring the sensational return of 6 Golden Age greats. The Human Bomb, Phantom Lady, Doll Man, Uncle Sam, the Ray, the Black Condor.
Gosh, how exciting. Yes, it's been a long time coming, this one, listeners. Let's jump straight in. We have an opening splash image which shows some members of the JLA and JSA fighting a massive, massive tank which has a few very large swastikas on them. We're also fighting a few soldiers in uniform, and looming out the clouds over this scene are images of the Ray, Black Condor, Uncle Sam, Phantom Lady, Doll Man, and the Human Bomb with Doll Man perched on the Human Bomb's helmet, which is quite amusing. Some captioning reads,
presenting a milestone in the already amazing adventures of the Justice League of America, featuring the dynamic return of 6 of the Golden Age's most exciting heroes, Uncle Sam, the Ray, Doll Man, the Black Condor,
the Human Bomb, and the Phantom Lady. Plus, the annual visit of the Justice Society of America. Come and be witness as a baker's dozen of Earth's greatest heroes battle to save the soul of a nation and the future of a world. Crisis on Earth X.
And caption continues, telling us this story is by
Len Wein, writer, Dick Dillon and Dick Giordano, artists, and Julius Schwartz, editor.
Len Wein, fresh from his appearance in our Halloween episode.
Ooh,
of course.
Rutland, how we miss you.
Yes. Pete and I are going to trying to arrange to go to Rutland for our holidays next year. So we can pop over and visit Steve and Shag and Brandon and Max and Rich and Ross and everyone else in America at the same time. Anyway, we arrive at the top of page 2.
Witness, a hidden sanctuary on an Earth strikingly similar yet subtly different from our own. This is Earth 2, in the secret headquarters of the Justice Society of America.
And we see, standing around a control desk in front of a fancy big open metal cube, which has all sorts of other equipment inside it, a few assembled heroes. We see the Golden Age Flash, Jay Garrick, making his first appearance in a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously wasn't in the last JLA JC crossover. We see Dr. Fate, Our Man, the Sandman, and Superman. Dr. Fate is saying,
Done. In but a few brief moments we shall be ready to begin.
Our Man scratches the back of his head in panel 2, saying, I still find all this kind of hard to swallow, Dark Fate. I mean, scrambling one's atoms is bad for the digestion.
Nay, Our Man, not scrambling them, merely altering their vibratory speeds.
A smiling Jay Garrick Flash says,
It's really very simple, Our Man. Until now, we in the Justice League could only cross the dimensional barriers between our Earths at certain times of year.
Dr. Fate gestures towards the device that he's been working on and says,
Aye, Flash, but if our transmatter devices prove true, our other earthly counterparts and ourselves will be able to travel between dimensions at will, merely by attuning our atomic vibrations to match those of the other world.
Assembled 5 heroes have all sat down round the table. Dr. Fate continues,
And at this instant on the planet called Earth 1, those of the Justice League are readying a duplicate of our own device, and soon shall we see if the fruits of our mutual labours be bitter or sweet. And 22,300 miles above Earth 1, in a certain satellite sanctuary,
we see some assembled heroes standing in front of another very similar open cube with some equipment inside it and a control desk in front. We see Red Tornado, Green Lantern, Black Canary, Elongated Man, The Flash, Batman, and Green Arrow. Red Tornado was in the middle of saying to Green Lantern,
But you must let me volunteer for this test, Green Lantern. It may be my only hope of piercing the dimensional barricade that keeps me prisoner on your world.
GL puts a reassuring hand on Red Tornado's shoulder, saying,
We understand that, Red Tornado, and we sympathize, but we still can't allow it. We've run tests on inanimate objects, lab animals, and now with humans. But unfortunately, my android friend, you are not human.
A pause, then. The newest JLA member turns and strides silently away.
A concerned-looking Black Canary watches him go and says,
Poor Tornado. I feel so sorry for him.
So do I, Black Canary, but it can't be helped. Batman, Green Arrow, Elongated Man, take your places in the transmatter machine.
In the next panel we see that Batman, Green Arrow and Ralph have all indeed stepped inside the cube. Now here we are, 180 odd episodes in, and it's the first proper appearance of the Transmatter Cube, which has been in our title sequence since the beginning. Wow. The Flash, Barry Allen, can be seen operating the controls for the equipment. Green Lantern says,
Our chronometers and the Justice Societies are synchronized.
To which Flash says,
In 42 seconds, we will attempt transfer.
From inside the cube, Green Arrow, who seems to be shivering and rubbing his arms, says,
Make it quick before I catch pneumonia. There's a blasted breeze in this thing.
Elongated Man turns to him and says,
A breeze in the airtight satellite? Arrow, you really are sick.
And as he operates the controls, the Flash says,
Well, you can pick up an aspirin on Earth too. Have a nice trip, fellas.
At the top of page 4, there are panels showing Batman, Green Arrow and Elongated Man being dispatched by Barry Allen Flash, and Sandman, Dr. Fate and Superman being dispatched by Jay Garrick Flash. Captioning reads,
Simultaneously, on twin Earths, divided only by some strange celestial whim, 2 identical buttons are pushed, and 6 gaudily garbed comrades across the cosmos blur out of focus, then suddenly begin to fade, to be replaced instants later by...
And both Flashes say at once,
Nothing. They vanished.
And we see that instead of the heroes having swapped from one Earth to another, the two transmatter cubes are empty. The captioning continues.
And on two separate but equal Earths, duplicate conclusions are reached.
We see a very concerned Black Canary and Green Lantern looking on as Barry Allen Flash says,
Something went terribly wrong with the transmatter machine. Instead of sending our 3 members to Earth 2 and their 3 members to us.
And, separated by the dimensional ripple, we see J. Garrick Flash, Hourman, and Starman, who's suddenly appeared. And J. Flash concludes,
All 6 have been sent somewhere else altogether, and with trillions of elsewheres to choose from, how will we ever find them?
Yet at that precise moment, on one of those multi-trillion elsewheres...
Yes, this is great. Sandman, Dr. Fate, and Superman look on as Batman, Elongated Man, and Green Arrow land beside him in an alleyway in a very undignified fashion. Ralph almost twisting over backwards, and Green Arrow landing with emphasis on his backside as he exclaims,
Ouch! I think I bent my bow!
Sandman reaches down to help him up, saying,
Welcome to the club, Green Arrow. You're just in time for lunch.
Oliver dusts himself off.
Very droll, Sandman, but this is no time for ha-has.
To which Batman says,
Agreed, Archer. Judging from our surroundings, something went haywire with the transfer devices. And we'd better find out what.
A voice from behind them speaks, causing Sandman to twirl around.
I'm afraid I am that what, Batman? Forgive me, my friends, but it appears I've blundered again.
Superman exclaims, The Red Tornado? But we thought you were dead. And an asterisk also reminds us...
Editor's note, JLA 102.
Of course, because the Justice Society haven't seen anything of him since the end of the Seven Sorcerers epic, and of course it's worth pointing out that Superman wasn't in that story, so you obviously had that information passed on to him. And Batman then says in response to Superman,
That was our first reaction to Superman. The tornado's survival is a long story. Too long to tell here.
And a couple of asterisks take us back to the caption box and tell us...
Editor's note, but told in detail last issue.
Yes.
Or indeed the previous episode of our podcast.
Awesome. The next panel, brilliantly, Elongated Man extends an index finger and waves at a Red Tornado, saying,
I hope your explanation for this is shorter, Tornado.
Much shorter, E-Man. Call it desperation or temporary insanity, but when you refused to take me, I stowed away in the transmatter cube by whirling at near invisible speed, and my unseen presence upset the mechanism's delicate balance.
This causes Green Arrow to observe,
Then that explains the breeze I felt.
Sure, says Superman, but it doesn't explain where on Earth we are. Dr. Fate gestures beyond where they're standing and says,
I believe the question is more properly, when on Earth, gentlemen? Cast your gaze there.
On the final panel, page 5, we see that 3 large metallic blue tanks, all with swastikas on the front of them, are approaching. Batman exclaims,
War tanks! Nazi war tanks from the look of them. But what are they doing in an American city?
Sandman says,
That question may soon be academic, Batman. They've spotted us.
And as if to punctuate the Sandman's observation...
A hatch opens in the top of the first tank. 3 soldiers appear, and one of them starts firing at the ground in front of the heroes. The soldier poking at the top of the tank says,
Achtung! Costume strangers, you're under arrest in the Führer's name. Surrender immediately, or our next burst will cut you in two.
To which Superman says, Ratsy, you have got to be kidding. Come on, gang. Let's shove that surrender right back down their rotten throats. As the heroes start moving forward, the German cries,
Fools! You will all die! Open fire! Schnell!
And there's a brilliant spyow, spyow, splang sound effect in the next panel as bullets ricochet off Superman's chest as the Man of Steel says, Ratsy, I don't know where you've been hiding all these years, but I cut my baby teeth on skunks like you. And as the bullets go flying, Green Arrow says,
Split up, chums, and choose your targets. Let's not spoil the Man of Steel's fun.
'Tis not fun, Archer, but nostalgia. I too have battled this madman's spawn in years agone.
And with that, Dr. Fate gestures, and something takes form in front of him. He continues,
Perchance a mystic battering ram will serve as well now as then.
From the golden glow, a golden cylinder with a ram's head on it appears and flies forward.
But to Dr. Fate's amazement...
Yes, instead of firing into the tank, the battering ram starts twisting around in the air. Dr. Fate observes,
What? I cannot control my enchantment on this world. My magic ram turns from the tank, batters Superman instead, felling him.
Yeah, and there's a massive... as the ram collides with Superman, knocking him out.
Instantly, the stellar sorcerer turns to his stricken companion, leaving the battle in other hands.
Well, that's good. Most of the guys left who don't have superpowers. That's tremendous. Captioning continues.
And they are very good hands indeed.
You see the Sandman firing something that looks a bit squelchy, for want of a better way of putting it, into one Nazi, saying,
This is like fighting memories of old.
Green Arrow replies to that.
Your memory, Sandman. My nightmare.
And with that, Green Arrow fires off an amazing boxing glove arrow, taking out one Nazi, and then Elongated Man chips in with,
If I weren't so busy, my mystery-loving nose would be twitching like crazy. Where did these dudes come from?
to which Batman says,
Just hope we'll live long enough to find out.
and he punches a Nazi just for emphasis. In the background, Red Tornado's twisting up into the air, sending a few soldiers flying as he says,
My fault. All my fault. Had I only listened to reason, none of us would be here.
well, maybe it's a good thing he didn't listen to reason, let's be honest. The next panel, we're back with the tank commander. Great shot of him with his weapon in front of him as he yells,
Incredible! The strange ones are outnumbered and yet they are winning! Mobilize the Cerebro gun and put an end to this spectacle.
Caption then reads,
It sings, this strange device, a siren's call, a banshee's wail that shatters the battle-born tumult, and leaves agony in its wake.
We see that instead of firing any kind of shell or projectile, that this gun is projecting a distorting wave of red, orange, yellow energy, which is obviously causing havoc with the heroes. Batman clutches his head, saying,
My head! Splitting! Pounding!
Agonised Green Arrow cries,
My muscles turning to jelly.
Red Tornado says,
My circuit's not responding. Can't keep my balance.
Caption then for the final panel of page 7.
And when the terrible tune fades into silence...
The heroes are down on the ground, with the Nazi soldiers walking towards them, guns raised. Sandman, obviously in pain despite the mask, says,
Can hardly move. We're finished.
but the Elongated Man looks into the middle distance and exclaims,
No! Look! Can it be?
It can be, and it is, as 6 more strikingly costumed figures erupt out of nowhere to fill the Nazi forces with a special kind of terror.
Swinging on a rope is Phantom Lady in her familiar golden swimsuit. The Ray drops in, the shining golden ray. Black Condor alights. Human Bomb runs in from the right. Uncle Sam, and it looks though Dollman is holding on to the tips of his hat. The Nazi soldiers are shocked to see them. The first one yells, It's the Freedom Fighters! One of his colleagues says,
Forget the fallen ones! Kill the task force!
Kill them before they kill us! Yells another soldier.
It is obvious these opposing factions have met before, by the tremor in the Nazi voices as they bark their harsh commands, and by the beads of sweat that fall from their quivering chins when they realize their time has come, and has come with a vengeance. Today is the day of retribution, for there may be no tomorrow.
Plenty going on over these 2 panels at the bottom of page 8. We see the Ray blasting a couple of soldiers and blinding them with some bolts of light. Human Bomb taking off one of his gloves and taking out one of the tanks. In the foreground of this panel, there's as Dollman slams a soldier in the face with his helmet, knocking him out. We see Phantom Lady lassoing 3 or 4 soldiers together. Black Condor, amazingly, grabbed one soldier by the ankles and is flying him along, slamming into the other soldiers, taking him out. And in the background, we see Uncle Sam rushing towards one of the other tanks. The caption of the first panel, page 9, reads,
At this point, need anything else be said?
and there's a massive... as Sam lifts the tank up by its gun barrel and flips it over, crushing it. Superb.
Within moments, the acrid battle dust has begun to settle, but a bizarre baker's dozen has already begun to move off into the shadows.
Yes, we see that Uncle Sam has got Elongated Man and Superman over his shoulders, over on each shoulder. Phantom Lady's helping Green Arrow, Black Condor's helping Red Tornado, Human Bomb's helping Batman, Dr. Fate seems okay, but the Ray is helping the Sandman, etc. They all start to move off. You can take a drink because there's a dustbin in the corner of this panel. And as they take their leave, Uncle Sam says,
Tarnation, friends, move faster. There'll be another rat pack along to replace the last bunch any second now. And it sure wouldn't pay for them to catch us with the welcome mat out.
At this point, they've stopped at the side of a building which shows a large image of Adolf Hitler. With the caption, The Führer is your friend. Black Condor has touched a control in the wall. And this large image is starting to swivel. It's obviously the hidden secret entrance to their HQ or their hideout. Sam continues,
Get the wounded inside, and hustle.
A slow dissolve.
There is a time of tending and the binding of wounds until, at last...
We see Green Arrow sit up in bed. There's a large painting on the wall which we think is FDR. The painting is flanked by a couple of large United States flags. Green Arrow is saying to Uncle Sam,
Where are we? Who the heck are you? You can't possibly be who you look like.
Uncle Sam gets a close-up in the final panel of page 9 as he says,
Oh, but I am, son. Believe me, I am. The important matter now is who you are, and why you and your friends were fighting with those goose-stepping buzzards out there.
And a very neat caption at the top of page 10 reads,
And after the greatest heroes of two Earths have explained their situation to those of a third Earth...
Yes, we see Superman, Sandman, elongated man in conversation with Human Bomb and Uncle Sam as Superman is saying, but if this is the planet Earth in the year 1973, as you've said, what in blazes were those Nazis doing around? To which Uncle Sam replies,
Why, they control the country now, son. America lost the war.
Batman exclaims,
Lost World War II? But...
I know, son, it's a sad tale. When our president had his fatal heart attack in '44, the governmental balance of power went the wrong way. By the time the USA had developed the atom bomb, Germany had one too. Since neither side was suicidal enough to use the blame thing, the war just kept going on. A lot more men than had to died fighting for the cause of freedom. Good men true they were, and some of them were friends.
And as Sam says this, we see images of the Black Hawk team and Plastic Man.
Gasp.
Now, we're going to come back to that when we discuss the story.
In a wrap-up episode.
But yes, think on that, ponder on that. Sam continues.
Then about 5 years ago it was over. Simple as that. The Fuhrer's brain boys came up with the ultimate weapon. A mind control ray that had the whole world eaten out of their hands within weeks. All except us, of course. We've developed an immunity to the ray. And we've been fighting Adolf's order as an underground strike force ever since.
Dr. Fate says,
A fascinating tale indeed, sir, but still we know not. Who are you?
We come to page 11 now, which is a full-page image showing all of the heroes that we've just met. A caption reads,
A moment of considered silence. Then, for the first time in years, the legends are retold of how these 6 bold adventurers came to be.
Of how Roy Lincoln swallowed a sample of explosive formula 27QRX to keep it out of Nazi control, and of how its explosive potency concentrated in his hands, changing a simple chemist into the explosive human bomb. Of the incredible willpower of Daryl Dane, power that allows him to compress the atoms of his body, thus turning a 6-foot dilettante into the 6-inch dynamo, Doll Man. Of how top reporter Happy Terrell had been caught in the midst of a strange cosmic storm, a storm that changed him, twisted him, molded him into the glowing gladiator men have called the Ray. Of how a mysterious figure stepped in to impersonate murdered Senator Tom Wright, much to the chagrin of the Third Reich, an ebon-winged figure with no name other than the Black Condor. Of how socialite Sandra Knight, daughter of a crusading senator, decided to do more for her country than talk a good fight, then donned the lemon-lime uniform of the Phantom Lady. And lastly, of a man who wrote the book on legends, a red, white, and blue garbed character who came wandering out of the mists of the past to help his country in her time of greatest need, the spirit of liberty known only as Uncle Sam.
And as Sam concludes this at the top of page 12, Green Arrow says,
That explains all of it, except for one little item. If those mind control machines are the only way the Nazis retain their supremacy, why haven't you attempted to destroy them?
Uncle Sam looks almost guilty here as he scratches his head and says,
We would have, son, but we don't know where the machines are. Although we've beaten their major effects, there's a second, stronger beam projected from the machines, creating a worldwide mental block which prevents anyone, including us, from remembering the projector's location.
Sam says all this, the freedom fighters standing in line facing the heroes of Earth 1 and Earth 2, but in the background we see Dr. Fate rummaging amongst the rubbish boxes which are in their hideout, very conveniently, as Dr. Fate says,
That situation may soon be remedied, good uncle.
In the next panel, he's, from nowhere it seems, managed to produce a crystalline globe, which has a big crack in it, but that doesn't seem to stop him. Dr. Fate continues.
My eldritch energies mightn't fare well o'er great distances on this strange earth, but will be a little risk in feeding power to this pitiful excuse for a crystal ball.
Dr. Fate is gestured once again, and a pink glow surrounds it, obviously making it fit for purpose as he continues.
There. Now we need only combine our energies and concentrate, and that which we seek shall be revealed to us.
Black Condor steps forward the next panel, looking very concerned as he says, "Hold it, chum. Where did you get this wee stuff? Nobody's invited you to join our team. For all we know, you might all be Nazi agents, sent to infiltrate and betray us. Why should we trust you?" Uncle Sam admonishes him in the final panel of page 12, saying,
"Because I trust them, Condor, that's why. Because I have looked into their eyes and seen sincerity there, and a love of freedom as burning as our own. Besides, with what is at stake, how can we afford not to trust them?"
Brilliant shading on both their faces there, actually, it must be said. First panel of page 13, a reassured Condor says, "I'm sorry, Sam. I only thought..."
"We understand, son. Suspicion gets to us all at times. Now why don't we see what the doctor fella wants us to do to help?"
"'Tis simple, good uncle. We merely all join hands around yon globe and focus our thoughts on that which we wish to know."
Yes, the crystal globe which Dr. Fate has found is now perched on what looks like just like a bar stool, actually.
It needs must.
Yeah, and is glowing with golden energy.
Silently, 13 somber figures clasp hand in hand and form a ring of hope. Their eyes stare unblinkingly at the glowing orb. Their minds echo a single thought. And suddenly, the globe is filled with images.
There be your targets, my friends. Mount Rushmore, the Eiffel Tower, and Japan's mighty Fujiyama.
Yeah, we see the Eiffel Tower. We see the carved faces on the wall. We see the volcano. Uncle Sam says next,
"I reckon we ought to split up. Tackle all 3 of them contraptions at once."
"Excellent,"
says Batman.
"Red Tornado, you stay here. Act as liaison to the 3 teams with the use of Fate's mystic globe."
And the sad sack says,
"Naturally, you wouldn't want me underfoot, would you?"
I'm getting sick of Red Tornado. I'll talk more of this when we do a wrap-up episode. So, caption for panel 4 of page 13.
"Then when the teams and their destinations have been decided..."
This is interesting because the way the heroes are all lined up, first of all, they look like the figurines that Baruza had of everyone in the Death Zone and the 5 Doctors. It looks like they've basically been plumped down in his little makeshift tabletop Death Zone diorama. But the way the heroes are arranged isn't actually the teams that they all end up in, but it's still quite interesting. So basically, clockwise from 9 o'clock, we see the Ray, Batman, Superman, Dr. Fate, Uncle Sam, Black Condor, Phantom Lady, Sandman, Human Bomb, Elongated Man, Green Arrow, and Dollman. And as they all stand there with this glow emanating from Dr. Fate's makeshift crystal ball in the middle, and as Sad Sack Red Tornado stands sadly in the background looking on, Dr. Fate says,
"Concentrate your thoughts once again. Wish yourselves to your goals. Wish with all your might, all your hearts, and it will be done."
And they all fade out, leaving one person behind.
Then the room is empty, save for a tattered flag that ripples in the light, and a silent android who studies that flag curiously and wonders, for just a moment, if it is worth 12 valiant lives.
Very moody shot of Tornado being lit by the crystal ball there. Very effective. Caption tells us we're continued on the 3rd page following. We pass a full page advertisement for jokes and tricks and stuff, like a miniature secret camera or a trick baseball or x-ray specs.
Monster ghost.
Werewolf horror mask. Secret book safe. Feels like the first time we've seen one of these.
Yeah, weighted wristlets.
Yeah, that's the best kind. The Raquel Welch pillow, which has been highlighted several times in the Weird Warriors podcast,
Yes.
as I'm sure Max and Rich would attest. The next page has a DC subscriptions advert and a half-page advertisement for issue 1 of the DC humour title Plop.
Love Plop.
And if we can find a reason to do an issue of Plop, we will. I love Plop too. A Plop is one of my favourite things. So, we arrive at the top of page 14.
Paris, after dark. Once the avenues and boulevards were lit by bright lights and the laughter of a happy people. Now all that penetrates the darkness is the harsh illumination of searchlight beams that play in random patterns across the empty streets below. Into that oppressive blackness step 4 grim men, who have come to destroy the shadows that subjugate a land.
And we get logos for Batman, the Ray, Dr. Fate, and the Human Bomb. And it's got to be said, this is my favourite panel in the entire story.
Yay.
This is so effective, and it's a real shame that Black Canary didn't go on this adventure, because then Kelly could have done all of the Black Canary voices, and that would have been appropriate, because Kelly's in Paris.
Yes.
That's where Kelly lives, and that would have been absolutely hilarious. Sadly not. Oh well, we should just have to make do with our one tiny cameo line. Sorry, Kels. The Eiffel Tower. It looks like it's covered in stuff. Is it frost or is it just neglect that's hanging from it?
It's just neglect, I think.
It doesn't look at its best, but standing in the shadows below it are the Ray, the Human Bomb, Dr. Fate and Batman, of course. The Human Bomb observes.
That's the Eiffel Tower, all right, but I don't see the mind control station.
Which Batman replies.
Bomb, you're forgetting the mental block. We'll have to get much closer before we'll be able to see it. 'Tis only logical to assume said mechanism is at the tower's summit for the greatest area of dispersal. Right. Our only problem is getting past those guards without alerting every other Nazi in Paris.
The Ray pipes up with.
Then we have no problem at all. Give me 30 seconds, then follow my lead. I'll meet you on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Swift as a sunbeam, a glowing golden figure sprints out of the shadows and hurtles skyward on a blazing shaft of light.
Yep, see what you see captioning at its very best as the Ray takes to the sky, flies up to the summit of the tower.
Bringing darkness to two stunned soldiers as he reaches his lofty goal.
With a thwack and a thud, he takes out two soldiers, saying,
Lights out, ratsies.
And instants later...
Back down on the ground with Batman, Human Bomb and Dr. Fate rushing forward as the Ray cries from the top.
Come on, fellas. There's nobody conscious up here but me.
But if the Ray had taken the time to examine his fallen foes more closely, he would have discovered he was wrong.
Yep, one of the Nazis isn't unconscious after all. Manages to drag himself forward, and, well, helpfully the Ray points out what he's doing when the Ray says,
What? He's pushing some kind of button.
An alarm button, to be exact. And it's a summons quickly answered.
Because all of a sudden, a whole 7 soldiers, not of victory, have arrived. The Ray tenses, makes a couple of fists and thinks,
That's what you get for being overconfident, Bright Eyes. Looks like you've bought yourself a fight.
In the first panel of page 16, you see the Germans getting stuck into the Ray. There's only one way to put it. One German officer crying,
Seize him, but do not kill him. The Gestapo has wanted this one for a long time, and at last we are going to have him.
Like wolves attacking a wounded elk, the Nazi sentinels swarm over their golden-garbed adversary, bringing him down by sheer weight of numbers.
Yeah, but sadly with that, the Ray gets struck by a rifle butt and goes down with an A couple of German soldiers start to lift him up in the next panel, as the German officer says,
Take him inside. Perhaps we can have some amusement with him before we turn him over to the...
But he's interrupted with there's a batarang. Hurtles into the next panel, striking him in the back of the head and knocking him out.
Regaining their wits, the startled guards race to the tower's rim, their weapons ready to repel the new attacker, but not prepared for anything like this.
Yes, the soldiers look over with their guns in hand, and they see Batman climbing up towards them. One of the soldiers exclaims,
Lieber Gott, es ist der Fledermaus, the Bat!
The Batman to you, punks! Fear, such as they have never known, fills the soldiers' hearts as they empty their rifles into the swiftly climbing black-cloaked form. And nothing happens.
He doesn't fall. Why doesn't he fall? Batman, as he climbs towards the summit, thinks,
They're too scared to shoot straight. My cape is catching most of the slugs.
Excellent. With an arm. Dr. Fate thankfully flies into view, knocking out a couple of soldiers as he says,
Be thankful I dare allow myself only the power of flight, scoundrels. Else I might turn you into the vermin you truly be.
Human Bomb gets stuck in as well in panel 3, saying,
You're not the only one restraining yourself, Doctor. I'd love to hit one of these creeps without my protective gloves on.
In the foreground, the Ray comes to his senses, rubbing his forehead and saying,
Oh, my head. It's about time you guys got here.
And, kicking another Nazi in the stomach as he arrives, Batman vaults over the ledge, saying,
We could pass some comment about better late than never, but somehow I don't think you'd appreciate it, Ray.
In the next panel, they move over to a doorway that's set in the summit of the tower. Batman's saying,
This won't be easy. These doors are the only possible entrance, and they're made of 6-inch reinforced steel. It'll take us forever to cut our way through them without the proper equipment.
To which the Human Bomb says,
But you have the proper equipment, Batman, standing right next to you. Just move back for a second and let the Human Bomb lend a hand.
And with that, there is a massive... This boy takes off his right glove, touches the steel structure, and it just blows up, quite frankly. Superb.
Cautiously, the 4 brave adventurers entered the newly made portal to discover...
Now, bear in mind, this is all supposed to take place inside a structure at the top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's some dimensional dislocation, I don't know. But anyway, they enter and they discover a large metallic structure, which is a bit of a Jack Kirby flavour to it.
Yeah.
It's a large 70s sci-fi style computer with all of its sort of screens and things arranged so that it looks as though it has a face. There's a sign that the way some bits of it are kind of constructed that it has hands. Be assured this panel will go on the socials so you can see it. I'm not describing it terribly well. The heroes see this massive structure. Human Bomb exclaims,
"Holy Mother of Mercy!"
Dr. Fate says,
"By the 1,000 eyes of Anon!"
The Ray observes,
"Amen to both of you."
And from this large metallic structure, a voice saying,
"Alarm, alarm, intruders on premises, activate defense scanners."
Okay, we're inside the mental block perimeters. This chamber is countless times larger than it appeared from outside.
Interesting, it's a TARDIS, listeners. In response to Batman, the Ray says,
"So I see. Have you noticed that machine is talking?"
I would see the computer is extending a couple of metallic tentacles, for want of a better way of putting it.
Yes.
And at the end of these tentacles are large rectangular structures with a grid on the front, which appears to be like some kind of scanning device, because indeed the computer is saying,
"Scanner conclusion for humanoids, abnormal superior capacities. Take programmed action D54N3.
The Ray's not impressed with this, he says in the next panel.
Hey, I think that device just insulted us.
It did more than that, friend. Look!
Humanoid abilities superior but imperfect. 576.34294 metric grams adaptoplasm should be sufficient quantity to eliminate humanoids without error."
And we see that from a cylinder on the side of the computer, a weird gas has started to emerge. The gas takes form. 4 humanoid shapes. One that's kind of brutish in yellow, one a dark blue, almost black, one green figure, and another one that seems to be red and almost looks as though it's either really furry or in flames. It has a sort of devil horns at the top.
Yeah, very demonic.
Very, very interesting. Human Bomb observes,
"I don't like the sound of that."
I don't like the look of it,
says the Ray. Batman says,
"Brace yourselves. We're back in the battle game again."
So in the first panel of page 19, Human Bomb takes off a glove, lunges forward towards the green figure in front of him, saying,
"No reservations about hitting this monster with my bear." Huh? Nothing happened. It didn't explode.
The glowing green figure gestures back at the Human Bomb, and there's a massive... Human Bomb goes flying, thinking,
"Ugh! The creature absorbed my explosive power. Send it right back at me."
In panel 3, we see that the Golem Golem figure has grabbed Batman from behind, reaching under his arms, and then putting his hands behind his neck. Bit of a wrestling hold that doesn't look particularly comfortable. Batman is thinking,
"Creature's built like the world's biggest sumo wrestler, and it's rooted to the ground. Can't spring its hold on me, and it's breaking my back."
The Ray is having trouble in panel 4 as the dark blue figure looms towards him. The Ray tries to fire a couple of beams at it, but nothing happens. He thinks,
"My light bolts have no effect on this thing. It just sops him up, and in a few more steps, it'll sop me up as well."
In the final panel of page 19, the demonic flaming figure is confronting Dr. Fate. Its right hand seems to be forming the shape of a trident. How symbolic. Dr. Fate is thinking,
"Any other time, my white sorcery would be more than a match for my satanic foe. But this time, how can I dare utilize my powers when I dread what might occur? When I fear I might fail my friends instead?"
Of course, because remember, listeners, at the start, when he tried to create the battering ram, it went wrong and hit Superman instead of the tank. Gosh. In the first panel of page 20, the flaming, trident-bearing demon looms towards Dr. Fate as he says,
"But if I do not try, my comrades will perish most certainly. It seems, in truth, I have no choice at all."
With that, he gestures, and bolts of blue electricity fly out from his hands.
But as before, the eerie energy flies away from its mark, striking instead...
Yeah, instead of striking the red flaming demon, the bolts of energy strike the green guy who was giving trouble to the Human Bomb. Dr. Fate says,
"Again my powers betray me. I've struck the Human Bomb's foe by chance, and destroyed it."
Human Bomb's not bothered. He says,
"Thanks, Doc. That's what I owe you."
Dr. Fate gets a dynamic close-up in the next panel as he thinks,
"But have my powers betrayed me, or have they merely shown me the light?"
And then he says out loud,
"My friends, the solution to our problem is before us. These changelings were designed to combat us on a man-to-man basis, each one uniquely constructed to thwart its opponent's powers, but no other. To defeat them, you need only change partners."
And with that, the Human Bomb takes off a glove, jumps forward, intercepting the giant blue figure that was attempting to take out the Ray. There's a massive... As the Human Bomb strikes, saying,
Doc Fate did me a favor, Ray. Now it's my turn to do you one.
The Ray turns to the golden figure that was trying to rip Batman in half, saying,
I'd hate to think that was the only reason you helped me, Bomb, old buddy. Or I might be tempted to turn some super sunshine on you instead of Fat Boy here.
With that, he strikes the golden figure with a bolt of energy which makes it recoil in pain. Batman joins the fray by grabbing the red-fired demon, flipping him over, saying,
Full circle, Doc. Your playmate was the last of the lot. Now let's finish what we came for. Destroy the mind control machine.
With that, the heroes move towards the computer, which says,
Revaluation. Human still functioning. Adaptoplasm ineffective. New defensive maneuver required. This mechanism must continue to function.
With that, a hatch opens inside of the computer, and what only looks like a giant angle-poised lamp emerges. It's the angle-poised lamp of doom.
Gasp.
The computer voice continues in panel 3.
If humanoids cannot be eliminated physically, they must be deactivated. Encephalo waves will halt all conscious mental activity. Projection, complete immobility.
And with that, the angle-poised lamp, which is obviously some kind of sound transmitter, not an angle-poised lamp, blasts radiating waves at the four heroes who all scream, clutching their heads in agony. The next panel, the four heroes stand immobile as the computer says,
Conclusion, 99.786% successful. Percentage satisfactory.
The final panel of page 21, it's all looking a bit Jack Kirby. Or Wally Wood or Keith Giffen trying to be Jack Kirby. Anyway, the computer continues.
Projection. When guards reawaken, they will transport humanoids to a public square, put them on permanent exhibition. Object lesson to reaffirm supremacy of Third Reich, to strengthen invincibility mythos, to reinforce the dream.
The computer voice is harsh, emotionless as it drones on, and the four rigid forms standing before the machine cannot consciously hear its buzzing tones. But in some deep subconscious level, a chord is struck and shattered.
And with that, the four heroes, who are still standing rigid, start to walk forwards. The computer voice starts again.
Warning. Humans reactivated. Program reaffirmed. Encephalo wave results. Results positive. No mental activity. Contradiction. If mental waves negative, motor responses cannot be positive. Error. Re-evaluate.
The heroes are walking closer. They all raise their hands above their heads. The computer, starting to panic maybe, is saying,
Warning. Motor responses of humanoids indicate danger. Encephalo waves still record negative. Error. Error. Error.
And in panel 4 there's a massive as the four heroes bring their hands down and strike the computer, which explodes violently.
And when the smoke of the explosion has cleared,
Human Bomb goes first when he says,
My aching head. Somebody mind telling me what happened here? I remember moving towards the mind machine, but I don't remember destroying it.
To which Batman says,
Neither does anyone else, Bomb. Apparently we fell under the mind ray's control, and we completed our mission by reflex action more than anything else.
Standing behind Batman, Dr. Fate looks out over Paris and says,
But our mission appears a failure, Batman. I sense no change in yon city with the destruction of the device.
The Ray considers and says,
Looks like there's more to these mind rays than we thought.
To which the Human Bomb says,
I wonder how the others are making out.
We reach the final page of the story.
While a universe away, some unconsidered others find themselves stalemated by an entirely different puzzle.
We're back on the JLA satellite. We can see Black Canary and the Flash in the background, working in the transporter cube. Green Lantern in the foreground has generated a screen with his power ring that shows Jay Garrick Flash, and Green Lantern is saying,
My power ring couldn't find a trace of our missing buddies on either Earth, Flash.
And in panel 2, with the J Flash and his Earth, as he sees Green Lantern on the screen in front of him and says,
I didn't expect you would, Green Lantern. Wherever our teammates were teleported, it was not to a known world. Our only hope of finding them now is reversing the transmitter's circuitry and fishing for them.
And we round out with a very dynamic shot of Green Lantern as he says,
What if the transmitters didn't send them anywhere? What if those we're searching for are already dead?
And a caption reads,
Next issue, 13 Against the Earth.
And we're told,
Next issue on sale during the first week in August.
That's not bad. And the rest of the page is rounded out with a glorious advertisement for a Batman-themed DC Comics 100-page super spectacular.
Ooh.
I remember buying my copy in Argyle Market a long, long time ago.
Gasp.
And that's it. That is the end of part 1. We're back with part 2 of the 1973 Justice League Justice Society crossover, the epic adventure that brings the Quality Comics characters into the DC continuity to form, eventually, a team that will be known as the Freedom Fighters.
Yay!
Peter's going to tell you about the cover to issue 108.
At the top, we have the Justice League of America shield, the DC logo in the top left corner, 20 cents, number 108 in the top right, the world's greatest superheroes. And it is indeed approved by the Comics Code Authority.
Thank goodness for that.
But the main image in the cover, it's one of those heroes rushing against heroes covers. It's fantastic. It's almost like an hourglass, the way it's laid out. Or a giant X. See what they did there.
Do you know what? I've owned this comic for about, nearly 30 years probably, and I've always just seen it as the two triangles with the captions on them. I've never seen the X. That's, wow.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to have to go and think about this.
So rushing in from the left, we have Dr. Fate, the Sandman, Superman, and Batman. And rushing in from the right, with Human Bomb, the Ray, Uncle Sam, and Black Condor. And there are two triangle captions in between them, forming this X or hourglass, depending on how you see it.
It's definitely an X. I can't unsee it now.
Yes.
Wow.
And the caption says,
"Is this how World War III will be fought? Between the superheroes of two different Earths?"
We're going to have to talk about that caption, aren't we? I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we'll talk about it in the wrap-up episode, which will follow next week. Interested in the fact that there's 3 JSA members on the cover. Just Batman for the League. And wouldn't it have been amusing if the Human Bomb and Black Condor had been substituted by, say, respectively, Dollman and Phantom Lady?
Yes.
Because Ray versus the Sandman, I'd watch that fight. Batman versus Black Condor, I'd watch that fight. Dr. Fate versus the Human Bomb. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Superman versus Uncle Sam. Incredibly symbolic. We shall see if this scene or anything like it happens inside, because obviously that happened last week. Well, I loved the bit when the scene just exactly like the cover of last week's happened. Right, so without any further ado, everyone can clear their throats and be ready. We open with a splash image, which is captioned,
"Concluding the most fantastic adventure to date of the Justice League of America."
And there's a drawing of the American flag, ruffling in a mild breeze. Standing on the left-hand side of the picture, Superman of Earth 2, with Batman, the Sandman, Elongated Man, Dr. Fate, Red Tornado, and Green Arrow. Superman is pointing at Uncle Sam of the Quality Heroes. Standing with him are the Ray, Black Condor, Phantom Lady, and Human Bomb. Dollman is perched on Uncle Sam's shoulder. Superman is saying, "Uncle Sam, we accuse you and your friends of betraying America."
Presenting Earth X, the interdimensional world where Nazi Germany won the Second World War and now controls the planet. Into this oppressed parallel reality comes a handful of avenging figures, determined to free the Earth or perish in the attempt. But if our opening scene is any indication, one must truly wonder if they will be 13 against the Earth. Or 13 against themselves.
Gosh, a small caption tells us this story was brought to us by the talents of
Len Wein, writer, Dick Dillon and Dick Giordano, artists, Julius Schwartz, editor.
Now, page 2 of the story is a handy recap of everything that happened in issue 107. And it's brought to us by Uncle Sam, who sat down on a rickety-looking chair, which he's perched on back to front, Commander Riker style.
Yes.
And over some images of the JLA and JSA using their transport cubes and fighting some tanks, and the Freedom Fighters coming to rescue them, and Sam telling him about what's been going on, and the Ray and Dr. Fate and the others turning up at the Eiffel Tower, Uncle Sam handily recaps issue 107. Over to you, Steve.
Come on now, buddies. You'll have to settle down and keep still if you want your old Uncle Sam to finish his tale. Okay now, comfortable? Nobody has to leave the room? Good enough. Then I'll start where I left off. If you remember last time, the members of the Justice League of America and the Justice Society of America had invented a gizmo called the Transmatter Cube, a device to help them cross the dimensional barriers between their two Earths. But the interference of that android fella, the Red Tornado, threw the transmitter doodad out of whack, and threw a half-dozen of them Justice guys into our dimensional world instead, where they found themselves facing a dang blasted nightmare. A nightmare that might blamed well have killed them, if me and the gang hadn't jumped in to lend a hand. Well, we got 'em all to safety, then told them about the mind control machines the Razzies used to keep the world enslaved, and danged if they didn't offer to help us destroy the cussed things. Doc Fate's magic powers teleported us across the world to the locations of the 3 mind controllers. Then we rushed on in to give 'em what for. The Ray, Doc Fate, the human bomb, and that spooky Batman fella tackled the device atop the Eiffel Tower and blew it to kingdom come. And the rest of us? The rest of us, well, listen close and I'll give you all the details.
And that brings us to the top of page 3.
Fujiyama, Japan's most sacred mountain. Each year, many thousands of faithful believers make the rugged pilgrimage, 12,388 feet, to the volcanic mountain's top to worship their ancient gods. But this grim day, 4 special pilgrims join the silent procession. 4 traply garbed figures who worship a most special god, the god of freedom.
And we get logos for Superman, Dollman, Green Arrow, and Phantom Lady. And it's interesting that Superman's logo has written underneath it, Registered US Patent Office. That fascinates me. Probably to stop the guy from MF Enterprises publishing his own version, because let's be honest, he probably would. Now, the foreground of this panel is always an older Japanese man wearing a fur-lined anorak, his long straggly beard and moustache. And behind him are the aforementioned heroes, also wearing fur-lined overcoats, apart from Dollman, who's tucked in beside Superman. And we can see what looks like a whole bunch of other people who are making the pilgrimage following up behind. Superman kicks things off by saying, "Things certainly are different on this Earth. On our worlds, Japan was the Nazis' ally during the war." The elderly Japanese guide turns to them and says,
"And so it was here as well, young man, until the war did end. No sooner did we lay down our arms in triumph than the Nazi serpent did turn upon us, forcing Japan to bend to the Third Reich's will. Aye, the shame we bear since then, how we pray for a chance to regain lost face."
"Just have faith a little while longer, old father, and we'll see what we can do to give you that chance," replies Superman.
And when at last the pilgrims reach the majestic mountain's peak,
27 pages into the story, Phantom Lady gets a line. She says,
"Fuji is actually an almost extinct volcano, Green Arrow, and I can think of no better place to locate the mind control station than in the volcano's craterous mouth."
To which the Emerald Archer replies,
"I'll buy that, Phantom Lady. But we got one little problem before we can find out for sure."
As we see in the background, that the summit of the volcano is being guarded by armed soldiers. This prompts Superman to say in reply to Oliver, "I mean, those guys? Well, you know what we can do about them. Let's just quietly spread out around the crater's rim, and when I give the signal..."
"Yeah, we know, hero. We know."
And moments later, when the 4 determined defenders are all in position,
Superman throws off his fur-lined coat and cries, "Now!" And at that, one of the German Nazi soldiers fires on him with his machine gun, saying,
"Lieber Gott! Back, you crazy fool! Get back!"
In the words of the bard, not a chance, for even as the stunned Nazi guards begin to react, 4 grim crusaders are erupting into their own special kind of action.
Superman grabs the soldier who was firing at him and hurls him into one of his colleagues. We see Phantom Lady zapping one soldier with a black light ray, grabbing another guy by the wrist and flipping him over. We see Green Arrow taking out 2 soldiers with 1 projectile. Amazing. Gosh. And with a clud and a splacked, Dollman takes out a couple more evil Nazi scum. Fantastic. Over the page, there's another half-page advertisement for a DC Comics 100-pager, issue DC 22, featuring The Flash. We would refer you to our 100-page episode of some time ago. And the caption at the top of page 5 reads,
"And when the dust of brief battle has settled..."
Yep, lots of unconscious German soldiers lying about all over the place. Superman is saying to the guide, "Old father, you asked a chance to restore your nation's pride, and I give it to you gladly. Take the Nazis' weapons. Guard them till we return."
"Return, young man? But where do you go?"
"Into the crater, old father." And with that, the heroes start to move forward. Superman continues, "To destroy the evil that holds your world in chains."
You know, I was afraid he'd say that.
Green Arrow, I refuse to believe you're as reluctant as you pretend to be.
Yep. Tell you what, lady, you don't tell anybody, neither will I.
The heroes have moved inside the crater now, and Dollman, perched on Green Arrow's shoulder, perks up with,
"Hate to interrupt, gang, but have you noticed anything strange about this crater? Such as the fact that it's empty? Where in blazes is the mind control station that's supposed to be here?"
"I think it is here, Dollman, but some mysterious barrier prevents us from seeing it." We see Superman reaching out with his left hand, almost like he's touching something in midair. He continues, "Well, that is a problem easily solved," and with a punches against whatever it is that he's discovered. And in the final panel on page 5, it's almost like a hole has appeared in midair. Through this hole, we see a computer very similar to the one that Batman and the others saw at the end of issue 107. Superman turns to the heroes who are with him and says, "There, I told you the device was here. Anytime you're ready, lady and gentlemen, we can start dismantling this thing." Which Dollman says,
"Lead on, friend. You don't have to invite me twice.
But as the daring band cautiously advances upon the gargantuan device...
Yeah, we see the giant, I want to call it Bertha, because it looks like Bertha, the old children's BBC programme from the 80s. This weird...
Bertha.
Yep, this weird sort of almost humanoid computer with its screens that make up its face. It stirs and clicks into life.
Click, alarm. Intruders in area. Preliminary scanning reveals 4 humanoids, abnormal superior capacities. Conclusion, humanoids similar to those that destroyed Paris installation.
To which Green Arrow pipes up with,
What do you know? This gizmo can talk.
and that obviously means they must all be connected. There must be a network between these computers. That's very interesting.
Like an internet.
Yes. The computer continues in panel 2.
Observation. Program maneuvers D54N3 and R96E2 have proven ineffective against such humanoids. Projected course of action. A more basic means of restraint must be employed against current intruders.
Dollman exclaims,
What in blue blazes is that thing talking about?
Attention, humanoids. Warning, any attempt made to destroy this mechanism will result in the immediate obliteration of the island Japan. Repeat, total devastation of Japan. Caution, this is no idle threat.
Superman looks very thoughtful. Great shot of him here, where we see his grey temples. Obviously, it's quite amusing that the guide called him young man earlier on. Superman looks thoughtful. No idle threat, huh? Bunk! He punches at the computer in the next panel, saying, You'll be threatening us out of the other side of your condensers after I'm through with... And then there's a rumble all the way through the next panel as Clark cuts himself off, saying, Huh? The ground, trembling like a leaf in a storm. Phantom Lady says,
Then the device really meant what it said. It's going to destroy Japan by sinking the island into the sea.
Superman takes to the air in the first panel of page 7, flying off saying, Gotta get moving. Do what I can to keep Japan's nose above water. You folks will have to finish off the mind control device by yourselves. Green Arrow says,
Gee, thanks. Remind me to do you a favor sometimes, too.
Observation program action thus far 52.94631% effective.
A half dozen heartbeats later...
We see that indeed the island is in bad shape. Superman has had to fly down into a hole in the ground that's been created by the island splitting open. He's trying to pull the two halves of the crevice towards each other. As he does this, he's thinking, he must fuse these fissures together again before they reach the island's base and tear Japan apart. But the going is slow. So terribly slow. We cut back to Green Arrow and Dollman standing in front of the computer. The computer says,
Observation update. Departed humanoid possessed majority of superior abilities. Conclusion, remaining humanoids will cause little trouble.
Little trouble? I think I resent that. In fact, I know I resent.
Quit jawing for a second, Archer, and listen to me.
Dollman cuts Green Arrow off. He whispers in Green Arrow's ear, saying,
We still have to destroy that device without destroying Japan as well. And I think I've figured out how. Now here's my plan.
Caption for the next panel.
And moments later...
Green Arrow fires a succession of arrows at the computer, saying,
Okay, Rivet Brain. You've had it. We may not all be Superman, but if we fail, it won't be for lack of trying.
And as the explosions from the arrows start going off, the computer speaks again, saying,
Attention, humanoids' violence is futile. Even this mechanism's total destruction will not reverse the catastrophe you have set in motion. But regardless, this mechanism must continue to function. Since you will not surrender peacefully, you must be eliminated.
And with that, a hatch opens, and a weird gun-shaped device pops out and fires a little burst of energy at Green Arrow with it. Green Arrow exclaims,
Huh?
But before the searing energy can strike the startled Bowman...
Phantom Lady activates the device on her belt, and a little burst of black light fires out and intercepts the golden energy coming from the computer.
Thanks. That's one I owe you, kind lady.
Don't mention it. My improved black beam can absorb energy as well as light.
Evaluation. Humanoid still functioning, energy beam ineffective. New defensive maneuver required if this mechanism is to continue. Projection programmed. Action T5 to D4 will alarm. Internal malfunction. This mechanism is losing control of its actions. Control.
Troll, dog, nigger, snack, 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 match, snack.
I do believe we've done it, gang.
You've done it indeed, Green Arrow. For instance, after the mind control station's malfunction, Japan is safe once more.
Yeah, and we get a long shot of the island sort of wobbling. Is the only way I can put it, which obviously means everything's fine. A quick dissolve.
And instance after that,
Superman alights back with his colleagues, and he says, "All right, crew, I saw what you did, but how did you do it?"
We did it with our little doll man, Soups.
Come on, Arrow, let me tell it myself. It's simple, really. Under camouflage of a hail of exploding arrows, I managed to reach the mind control device unseen. Sneaked inside and played havoc with the mechanism's wiring, until I hit the proper combination to reverse the sinking Japan operation. Then, deactivated the device. Permanently.
Yes, helpful captioning from Darryl there as we see over 2 panels him leaping off an arrow, one of the ones that Oliver had fired at the computer, and then another inset shot of him doing some rewiring, which is tremendous. I'm looking back to page 7 to see if there's any sign of him, and there isn't, but that's marvellous. So of course that's what he's going to do. I didn't even think of that. That's great. So, for the final panel of page 8, the camera pulls back to show what looks like the elderly guide from earlier on and some of his pals looking down into the crater and seeing the heroes. Superman says, "But deactivating the mind control machine doesn't seem to have changed a thing. The people above are still subdued and defeated, still victims of Nazi domination. In heaven's name, what did we do wrong?" The caption says, continuing the 3rd page following, we pass a full-page advertisement for a DC Comics Tarzan tabloid. That's quite exciting.
Very.
And then we pass another advertisement for the Cleveland Institute of Electronics.
Succeed in electronics.
Yeah, I wonder if they're still going. And we arrive then at the top of page 9.
Shift your attention from Fujiyama to a mountain of quite a different sort. Mount Rushmore of Earth X. Since 1925, it has stood in the Black Hills of South Dakota as a monument to the men who helped to shape a nation. Now it stands as a tribute to the mad-eyed ex-house painter who conquered that nation, and the rest of the world as well. Enter 4 gaudily costumed figures. By this time, we need not tell you why they are here.
And we get logos for Black Condor, Sandman, Uncle Sam, and the Elongated Man, with Ralph's actually being the only one that further looks authentic. Anyway, you can see Mount Rushmore, the heads of Washington and Lincoln and all that, and also another head of bloomin' Adolf Hitler. And we can see people standing on top of the sculpted heads, but also in the foreground, we see Black Condor, Uncle Sam, and our pals, Max and Rich from the Weird Warriors podcast, appearing today as the Sandman and the Elongated Man. Black Condor speaks first. From the look of those Nazi guards, the mind control device is set up on top of the mountain. And the Sandman says,
"But how did we get past those guards to destroy it? They'd mow us down before we get halfway to the top."
"Not if they didn't see us, Sandman,"
says Ralph, who continues,
"Give me a few minutes to slither stealthily up there, then come running."
As Ralph moves and stretches off, Uncle Sam tips his hat back, scratches his head and says,
"By Juniper, that man is a peculiar sort of fella, ain't he?"
Our position shifts to a couple of the Nazi soldiers who are standing on top of the sculpted statues. One of them says,
Another monotonous day, ja, Hans?
Ja, Ernst. I do not see why the Third Reich needs us to guard this miserable mountain when there are more important... But he's cut off because a hand is tapping him on the shoulder, and a voice says,
"Excuse me, pal. Got a match?"
"Was ist?" says Hans as he turns round, and then with a he gets punched out by the Elongated Man, who says,
"I ist. You can call me the Elongated Man, if you can pronounce it, but don't be shy."
With his other hand, he strikes the other soldier in the throat, bit of a karate chop, and the other soldier exclaims, "Ah!" Tremendous. In the first panel of page 10, Uncle Sam arrives, and Black Condor arrives too, bearing the Sandman. And obviously, because of all the fuss, some of the other German soldiers are rushing over to get involved. Elongated Man says,
"Step right up and meet my friends. They've been itching to meet you for a long time."
The first soldier who runs in gets punched out by Uncle Sam. One of the other soldiers exclaims,
"The freedom fighters! Kill them! Schnell! Schnell!"
Thankfully, Sandman whips out his gas gun, fires it at them, saying,
"Now, how are you going to kill anybody when you're going to be so busy sleeping?"
"Knockout gas!" coughs one of the soldiers before collapsing. The next panel's great. Uncle Sam gets involved further as he says,
"Effective, Sandman, but a little impersonal, if you know what I mean. Now me, I got a way of handling these Razzies that's a heap more satisfying."
With that, he grabs one of the soldiers by the ankles and hurls him around with whams and thwacks and thwacks and knocks out a couple more. Black Condor enters the fray, flying down, hurling punches, with whacks and pokes, knocks out a couple of soldiers as he says, "Satisfaction should come from the result of our efforts, Uncle Sam, not the methods we use to attain them."
What are you trying to do, Black Condor? Spoil all our fun? Not every day a fella gets a chance to win World War II all over again.
And that's a great shot of Elongated Man in action as he wraps himself around and coils around some of the soldiers, punching and knocking them out with clubs and bars and plaques and blocks. And so, in the final panel, page 10, the heroes are standing triumphant over about 10 unconscious German soldiers who are all stretched out in front of them. A little smugly, Elongated Man says,
Okay, what do we do for an encore?
First panel, page 11, Uncle Sam replies,
We do what we came here to do. Destroy that cussed mind control machine.
And we see, once again, there is another almost human-featured computer atop Mount Rushmore. The other heroes boggle, and indeed Sandman says,
Strange. I didn't even notice that thing till now.
Perhaps not, Sandman, says Black Condor. But it's certainly noticed us. Look. And it's the return of the angle-poised lamp. That's what it looks like. The angle-poised lamp of death, or maybe it's the sonic device of death, rears up on another metallic tentacle as the computer pipes up saying,
Alarm, alarm, intruders in area. Preliminary scan indicates more abnormally superior humanoids. Activating defensive precaution P37D2.
And if our stalwart adventurers wonder about the precise nature of defensive precaution P37D2, they do not have to wonder for long.
Very helpfully, Uncle Sam tells us what defensive precaution P37D2 appears to be when he says,
Tarnation! Our approach has set off a wall of flame between us and that contraption. We're snookered!
Then consider us unsnookered, Uncle Sam. My handy-dandy gas gun has more than one use. Extinguishing fires, for instance.
Excellent. Yeah, we see Wesley firing a cloud from his weapon. As Sam observes,
Well, I'll be a tarnished spoon.
Reevaluation. Humanoids have penetrated perimeters of area P37D2. Defense area R96C5 must be activated. All ground in 15-foot area electrified.
and yeah, we see a little circle of sparkling electrical energy roaring out from the computer. Sandman says,
The machine is not joking. Look at those sparks.
Black Condor once again grabs Sandman, bears him into the air. Elongated Man steps over the wall of electricity, and Sam leaps over it, saying,
Heck, it ain't even gonna make us break our stride.
First panel of page 12, the heroes are squaring up to the computer. Elongated Man says,
Okay, computer puss. That's 2 up and 2 down. Got anything else you want to throw at us?
Observation, defensive program R96C5 ineffective.
Which the Sandman says,
So we noticed, but while you're trying to come up with some new bingo score,
we're downright gonna take you apart at the seams.
And Elongated Man says,
Are we ever?
And with a... The 4 heroes just basically punch the computer.
Gasp.
Amazing, giving it a thump. Maybe in the next panel they'll try switching it off and switching it back on again. In panel 4, Elongated Man stretched out his neck saying,
Huh? I don't believe it. We didn't even dent it.
Condor says, we hit that machine with enough power to destroy this entire mountain. Sam says,
What in thunderation went wrong?
To which the Sandman says,
Well, there's one way to find out. Hit it again!
And so they do, again, and again, and again, with power enough to hurl the stars from out the heavens.
Yeah, interesting shot of the heroes just punching the computer again. Ralph and Wesley certainly don't have computer strength, so anyway, I'm not sure what they're hoping for, but the captioning continues, final panel of page 12.
But not enough, evidently, to destroy one simple machine.
I don't understand it. We didn't make a scratch. What in Jehoshaphat is going on around here?
And then Ralph's nose wiggles as he says,
From the way my mystery-loving nose is twitching, Uncle Sam, I think I know. Unless I'm sadly mistaken, gang, we haven't done any damage. But there's nothing there to damage. We've been fighting a mirage. A figment of our collective imaginations conjured up by the real machine, with the help of that little bird.
He stretches his right arm and points at a bird that's in the air above them. Ralph gets a close-up as he continues,
It's been hovering stationary above us since we began our assault, relaying visual images back to the real device, which was out of our sight, hidden on the mountainside where it could not see us. Hidden, I'll betcha, inside that giant face of Hitler.
Then what in blazes are we waiting for?
Punches his palm.
Busting that little paper hanger in the snoot is something I've been aching to do for a long time.
And so, moments later...
Elongated Man is now standing on the top of the Hitler effigy, holding Uncle Sam in his hands, stretching down. We can hear from inside the Hitler head the computer's voice saying,
Emergency. Visual security has been breached. This mechanism is in danger of...
But it's cut off in panel 5 as with a massive... Uncle Sam punches the Hitler face square on the nose.
But when the echoes of Uncle Sam's blow at last fade away...
we see the damage has been done to the Hitler face, so the features are completely gone, and hanging out the hole is a big broken bunch of computer equipment. The heroes look up at it, and down on the ground Sam is saying,
It's over. We've destroyed our target. But somehow, I don't feel better for it. Like I know that, despite the way it looks, we did not succeed in our mission. Our Earth is still enslaved.
Moments later, in the warehouse headquarters of the mysterious freedom fighters...
Third time it's been said, so take a drink. Yes, the 3 groups of heroes are reappearing. As Red Tornado says,
12 figures materializing before me. Then my companions have ended their missions.
And as they arrive, Dr. Fate says,
I, Red Tornado, and ended them in failure.
And after the gathered heroes have compared notes...
Yes, heroes are all in conference. Batman is saying,
Apparently the 3 mind devices had interlinked consciousness. As we destroyed the mechanisms, in turn, each one's knowledge and power were transmitting to the remaining devices.
That much we've all figured out, Batman. But with all 3 contraptions finished, what's happened to that power now?
Yes, that's something we've been wondering about too, says Superman. What did happen to all that dominating energy, Uncle Sam?
Huh? What in thunderation are you asking us for? You figure we stole that energy?
As a matter of fact, we do, says Superman. Surprisingly, with a... He slaps Uncle Sam on the chest. Sam is surprised, exclaiming,
Oof.
Batman steps forward.
Who else stands to gain from the control of such monumental power? With your own super abilities and the mind control energy, you 6 plan to gain planetary domination.
Human Bomb's not impressed at this. He says,
What are you all gibbering about?
Isn't it obvious, says Superman. Uncle Sam, we accuse you and your companions of betraying America and the world. The heroes start squaring up against each other with green arrows saying,
Well, you won't be conquering anything when we get through with you traitors.
Hit 'em, men, for justice, for freedom, says Superman. The Ray looks astonished and says,
For Pete's sake, they've gone out of their minds.
Superman starts grappling with Uncle Sam, saying, For you, of all people, to turn traitor to America is the ultimate sin. I'll destroy you for that.
Not this time you won't, Superman. You ain't catching me off guard twice.
As Red Tornado looks on, Dr. Fate gestures towards the Ray, firing bolts of electricity at him, saying,
Foul vermin, you have betrayed the trust of a nation and thus do not deserve to live.
That's a matter of opinion, pal. And seeing as you're crazy at the moment, your opinion isn't worth a whole lot.
The Ray's response as he fires a bolt of energy back at the Wonder Wizard. Red Tornado looks on as Green Arrow fires at Black Condor, who takes to the air. Red Tornado thinking,
The Nazis' mind control ray is still in operation. The Earth X heroes are immune to it. As am I, because of my android construction. But my Justice League and Society colleagues have fallen victim.
The next panel, hilariously, we see Dollman hanging off an extended, elongated man's nose as Red Tornado continues to ruminate.
But my electronic brain allows me one other advantage beside immunity to the ray. It allows me to tune in on the impulses that are transmitting the mind control ray. And with any luck, I will be able to follow those impulses right back to their source, before my associates can kill one another.
In fact, he takes to the air, his legs twirling to create the whirlwind, and in the background we see Phantom Lady, very satisfying, flipping Batman over onto the ground.
Moments later, at the very edge of Earth's atmosphere...
Red Tornado has left the building. He's flying through space, and he's thinking,
It's fortunate I do not need to breathe like normal human beings, or I'd have suffocated for lack of air a few thousand feet ago. Now I need only... There it is. Unless my sensors are very much in error, I found it. A huge Nazi satellite orbiting the Earth. The last of the mind control stations.
Yes, this is a grotesque. To quote Jamie in the novelisation of The Two Doctors, it's like 20 castles in the sky.
Gosh.
With like lots of towers and weird shapes and corridors and big swastikas everywhere. It's horrendous. Red Tornado approaches it further, thinking,
But I must get inside the satellite to accomplish anything. And Unless I can devise a way to force open this airlock. Huh?
Yes, the airlock seems to have opened itself. A beam of light shines out, catching Tornado in it. As a computer voice from inside says,
"Welcome, intruder. Airlock is now open for your convenience. Please come in."
Reddy has entered by panel 4, where he says,
All right, I am in. What now?
"Please continue as you are doing to the large lighted chamber at the end of the corridor. I am waiting for you there."
Now, this appears to be reported because in the final panel, page 16, Red Tornado's entered a large chamber indeed, which is a large swastika in the background and many armed soldiers sitting in front of it, but standing in front of it with his right hand raised is a figure, dark hair and a very small, neat, dark moustache, who proclaims, "Greetings. You have been the first to breach the security of my skyborne command post. The Führer of the world salutes you." At which Red Tornado exclaims,
Adolf Hitler!
Reddy gestures at the dictator on the first panel of page 17, saying,
Your reign of terror is over, madman. You have 1 second to deactivate your mind control mechanisms before I deactivate you.
"Wait! Stay your hand! Let me speak!" Hitler gestures to a screen behind them. We can see Green Arrow fighting Black Condor and the Ray punching out Dr. Fate, Superman also getting up to mischief. As Hitler continues saying, "Why sacrifice yourself for a lost cause, Herr Tornado? Within moments your colleagues will have killed one another, and you will be alone. But I sense in you a kindred spirit, one who would consider this one chance I offer you. Forget your defeated comrades, and join us instead. Embrace the glorious cause of Nazism. Become one with me, and you will not regret it."
You are madder than my internal history tapes informed me. Join you? Never!
Reddy punches Hitler in the face. A surprise in the next panel as Red Tornado says,
What? The force of my blow knocked his head off. I've been dealing with an android.
And we see the Hitler figure. The head has come adrift from the body, cables and what like, still holding it attached. Good grief. The computer voice suddenly pipes up, saying,
"A being not unlike yourself, intruder. Initial physiological scan indicates you are also an android."
Reddy whirls.
That section of wall sliding open to reveal the last of the mind control devices.
Yes, and the hatch opens, revealing yet again another human-esque featured computer which says,
"Observation accurate, android, but this one mechanism is sufficient for the tasks at hand. Note, the 4 mind control mechanisms were possessed of an interlinked consciousness. The destruction of any of the mechanism transferred the knowledge and power of said mechanism into those remaining. Result, this mechanism now contains the total power of the mechanisms the 12 humanoids deactivated."
Thus ensuring the Nazis retain planetary control because no one even knows the satellite exists. An ingenious scheme.
Correction. The Nazi Party no longer controls the planet. Control is under the jurisdiction of this mechanism only. Exposition. Mind control mechanisms were created with superior intelligence, better able to rule the Earth. Result, several years ago, this mechanism and the others took control from the Third Reich, replacing their leaders with android replicas to ensure the governmental shift would go unnoticed.
The balance of power is about to shift again, computer, with your demolition.
With that, Reddy starts twirling his legs and starts to lift up into the air. The computer responds,
"Alert! Alert! Security of this mechanism is threatened. Defensive precaution E45X8 indicated. Activation of android guards."
And we see the German soldiers who are standing around, presumably then, they were also androids as well, start to, looks like they're all sort of smiling and start to move into action. A caption for panel 5.
But as the robot guardsmen move into action,
and start firing on Red Tornado, who starts twirling his whole body faster and faster. And the computer notices this and says,
"Observation. Ordinary rifle fire ineffective against android attacker."
Naturally, I'm whirling so fast that the bullets ricochet from the air pressure barrier that surrounds me. Now a few whirlwind punches to remove these minor annoyances, and I can get down to the matter at hand.
Yeah, and with that, Reddy reforms partially, still keeping his arms spinning, flies down with grumps and crumps and rangs, takes out the android soldiers. The caption for the first panel on page 19 reads,
But before the Red Tornado can strike his computer targets,
things obviously start getting a bit wobbly. Reddy says,
This entire chamber, shuddering savagely, vibrations growing strong enough to tear this satellite apart. What's happening here?
Crisis. Crisis. Android swirling motions have upset satellite's delicate gyroscopic balance. Satellite is now in decaying orbit, falling back to Earth. Conclusion, situation desperate.
Less than a minute before the satellite is destroyed in the atmosphere, and there is still something I must attend to.
Says Reddy, whirling his legs again and flying towards the main body of the computer, which is saying,
Crisis!
Crisis! This mechanism is in danger of termination.
And over the next 5 panels, we see the satellite enter Earth's atmosphere, burning up, falling apart until it finally hits the ocean and explodes with a massive red tornado is flying overhead with obviously something tucked into his cape.
It is finished. Once again, a madman's dream dies in a blazing bunker.
He flies away from the wreckage saying,
I'd better rejoin my friends.
The caption runs out page 19 saying,
And in one small spot in the Atlantic Ocean, the waters bubble for a time, then grow still.
A slow dissolve, the caption for the first panel on page 20.
Soon after, in the warehouse headquarters of the Earth X Freedom Fighters...
It's the 4th time they've said it. Take a drink. Red Tornado stands before Uncle Sam, Human Bomb and the others. Red Tornado's saying,
And I burst through the molten wall just before the satellite plunged into the sea.
Thunderation, man, I can't believe it. After all these years, our ordeal is over.
Sam's delighted. Superman replies, But not ours, Uncle Sam. Not until we devise a way to return to our own Earths. And at this, Red Tornado holds up what looks like a glass globe with some equipment inside it. He says,
I may have already solved that problem, Superman. I removed this from the mind control machine before it was destroyed. Unless I'm mistaken, this is the mechanism that allowed the 4 devices to mentally communicate with one another over great distances, and with a little alteration, may well allow us to contact our respective Earths.
Let's hope so. Another slow dissolve.
And after several hours of dedicated effort...
We see Sandman, Superman, Batman, Green Arrow, Elongated Man, Red Tornado and Dr. Fate standing in a circle with the same little globe that Red Tornado just had, hovering in front of them. Dr. Fate is saying,
Concentrate, my friends. Focus your minds of returning home, on reaching the minds of those who must surely be searching for us.
For an endless moment, all brows knit in furious concentration. And then...
Faces of Jay Garrick flash and Green Lantern Hal Jordan appear in the globe in front of them. Jay says,
Dr. Fate, Superman, the rest of you, thank God you're all alive.
Green Lantern says,
Keep this channel open. We'll adjust the transmatter cubes to home in on you. See you soon, gang. See you soon.
You see Superman shaking hands with Uncle Sam, saying, They'll be summoning us any second now, Uncle Sam, so I guess this is goodbye.
Yep, I guess it is. Bye, Juniper, man. I'm gonna miss all of y'all. How can we ever thank you enough for giving us back our world?
And as the heroes of the Justice League and Justice Society start to fade out, almost like shadows here, Dr. Fate waves and says,
We gave you nothing, good uncle. What you have gained this day you earned. Farewell, friends. Perhaps we shall meet again someday.
And we close on a shot of Uncle Sam as he says,
Yeah, Doc, maybe we will.
And a caption rounds out the story saying,
Next issue, a Justice Leaguer quits, plus the sensational return of the most oft-demanded hero-villain in comics. All this and more in Doom of the Divided Man.
Or in other words, the end.
The end.
Well then, listeners,
what did you think of this story? Why don't you email us and let us know? You can email us at theearth2podcast@gmail.com. You can send us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/theearth2podcast and tell us with your voice what you think. Make sure you also follow us on social media. On Twitter, we're at podcast_Earth2, and on Facebook and Instagram, we're at the Earth2 Podcast, because we're putting up lots of lovely bonus material for this, and indeed every episode, and it's the number 2 for all of our social media.
Yep. We'd like to thank all of our guest voices.
Yes.
Thanks to everyone for coming back and helping us out. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the wrap-up episode as well.
But until then, I've been Peter.
And I've been David. Take care. See you next week on
The Earth2 Podcast.
Transmatter cube activated. Return coordinates set for Earth Prime.
And Sam leaps over it saying, Heck, it ain't even gonna make us break our stride.
Ain't gonna slow me down, oh no, I got to keep on moving.
That's one of those songs that I like and hate in equal measure. Because I quite like it, but then you see what the guy looks like and you're like, ooh, it's kind of creepy. Anyway,